Alright, hello everybody. Today we have our GRW class, and for today we're going to do 4.2, so that is the page 6, or page 7, alright? So it's I-23, okay? I-23. This is the superlative adjective revision. So remember when we talked about the opposite, right? Or the counterpart to superlative is comparative, right? So the difference. Usually for comparative, we talk about two people, right? Or two things, two places, two nouns. And when we talk about superlatives, right? Superlatives is usually talking about three things or more. So three people, three schools, three things, right? Three nouns or more. All right? And also for superlative, sometimes we can also talk about just the one thing. Okay? Which is the most. Right? For example, the elephant, right? The elephant versus a whale, okay? Which one is heavier, right? We're using comparative, right? Which one is the heavier animal, the elephant or the whale? The whale is heavier than the elephant, right? So we can say that amongst the two of them are all the animals, right? All the animals. We can only choose one thing, which is the heaviest, right? Most heavy. We can say that the whale, right? The whale is the heaviest, okay? Alright, so one good thing to know about superlative is they always end in EST, right? Remember, EST endings for superlative adjectives, okay? EST, for example, heaviest, right? Heaviest, okay? And then we will have the word the at the back of the superlative. So it's the something EST, okay? The something EST. Alright, so let's try to work on this chart that I drew on the whiteboard. Okay, so the word we're looking for or working with is tall, right? Tall. Tall. And then we have A, B, and C. Alright, so how many people do we have here? Do we have 2 or 3? We've got 3, so should we use a superlative or comparative? Right, superlative adjective, right? So of course we can see from their heights, right? A small, B is medium size, and C is the bigger one, right? Alright, so let's try to put them down, right? So if normal people are this tall, right? So A is also quite tall too, so we'll put A here, right? The bottommost part, just following their height, right? Tall. And then B is also tall, let's put B over here. Okay, so it's A, B, and of course lastly we have C, let's put him here. And he is also tall, right? Alright, so for A, right, just tall. B is taller than A. So this one here on the second level will be the comparative adjective. Let me use a blue pen to make the difference, okay? Taller, okay? And then we have the word than, right? T-H-A-N. Now we can say that B is taller than A, okay? Is B taller than C? No, right? So what do we say for C? What can we talk about C? Right, he is taller than everybody, right? He is taller than everyone. You see? He's the tallest one. So you can say that C is the tallest. Okay, E-S-T. Alright? Now, if we're even talking about one person only, right? So we know that C is very tall, but we don't have A and B. All right, let's try to remove A and B. Okay, but we know in maybe our classroom that C is the tallest one, right? Amongst everybody. We don't need to compare it with 2 other people or 4 other people. We just know the truth that C is the tallest, okay? So sometimes even just talking about one thing, we can use a superlative, okay? To show that they are the most something. Alright? What about, let's try with the word smart. Okay, let's try the word smart. S-M-A-R-T. Okay, so again we have people, right? We have person A, person B, and person C. Okay? And on the test, person A only got 15 out of 100, right? Only 15 out of 100. B will get, maybe you can say 68, right, out of 100. And then C will have 98, okay, out of 100. Okay? So we have the word smart. So we can say all of them are smart, but someone is smarter than someone, and someone is the smartest out of all of them, right? So similar, very similar. We have A here. A has the least number, right? The smallest number. And we can put that as, maybe she is just smart. He or she's just smart, right? But someone is smarter than A, right? There are two people smarter than A. So we can say B and C are both smarter than A. So you can also put two people here, right? B and C. They are smarter. S-M-A-R-T. Keep the original word, right? And only add an ER with the word than, okay? So both B and C are smarter than A, alright? Smarter than A. Okay, so for the highest point, right? Who got the highest marks? Right? Do you hear my my superlative adjective? Highest, right? Highest. Right, it is C. Right, C is the highest one. So we'll put C here. And we can say that maybe C is the smartest, right? Because he or she got the highest grade. EST. Okay? EST. Alright, now for another important thing. When we're changing the words, the adjectives, smart, right? Tall. All we need to do is add EST. What about for words ending in Y, right? So I said highest, alright, sorry, heaviest, right? Heaviest. H-E-A-V-Y. Remember we talked about the elephant and the whale, right? So heavy. Heavy ends in Y, right? For the comparative, I will use red for the comparative. In the comparative form, we will keep the first part of the word, H-E-A-V, okay? And because the Y, right? The Y is in the way of adding another vowel or adding another suffix, right? So we have something here, and then we have E-R, okay? This Y will be changed to an I, okay? Before we add anything to the ends of the word, we have to change the Y to I, alright? Similar with plural, right? Strawberry, strawberries. We change Y to I and then add ES. Same thing in superlative adjectives and comparative, okay? Change the Y to I and then add ER. So what about the superlative then? If we're doing superlative, we will keep the first part, right? H-E-A-V. And then E-S-T, right? E-S-T. So what should I put there in between? Should it be a Y or an I? Alright, it should also be an I, right? Heaviest. Okay? Heaviest. Alright. So, for the important part of superlative adjectives, can you please draw this box somewhere in your book? You can draw them on maybe the bottom part of page 7. Okay? There's some space here. I want you to draw on the bottom part of page 7, okay? So this is just to remind us that superlative adjectives, right? How do we make them? We first have the word the, okay, in front. Or the first part, I should say, not in front, right? The first part is the. And then we have to add the adjective plus EST, okay? The ending with EST for the superlative. And remember, if it's ending in Y, we change Y to I, okay? Alright, I'll give you some time to do that. Okay, good. Alright, so another point to talk about with superlative and comparatives, okay? I hope that you still remember this part, okay? So the syllables, right? Syllables means the number of sounds, okay? Let's try to look at the word beautiful, okay? So beautiful. B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L, right? Beautiful, okay? So we can say we have 3 pictures, right? Picture 1, picture 2, and picture 3, okay? And the number of stars that I will draw says how many people think the picture is beautiful, okay? So this one has 1 star, this one will have maybe 3 stars, right? And this one is, maybe you can say 4 stars, okay? Let's give it 4 stars. Alright? So picture 1 has 1 star, picture 2, 3 stars, and picture 3, 4 stars, okay? And they're the number of people that find the pictures beautiful. So, how many sound can we hear in the word beautiful? Alright? Those are called syllables, okay? Sounds in the word. Beautiful. We have 1. Beau, 2, T, full. 3, right? Beautiful. 3 syllables, okay? So when we change words from 3 syllables into the superlative or comparative, right? It will not stick to the same rule. We cannot say 2 and 3. 2 and 3. So 2, right? So it's R. So when we say comparative, right, we put ER. So BEAUTIFUL ER then 1. Full stop. Right? So this sentence is wrong. Okay, we can't say this, right? So it's wrong. 2 and 3 are beautifuler, right? LER then 1. This sentence is wrong. Now, how do we change it, right, to make it correct, okay? So when we have 3 syllable sound words, right, into the comparative adjective, we will not say beautifuler. We will say 2 and 3 are, okay? Now we have to add something else. The word more. M-O-R-E. More, okay? So 2 and 3 are more, all right? And what's the adjective we want to use again? Beautiful, right? So B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. Are more beautiful. All right? Are more beautiful than 1. Full stop. Okay? So this is the correct sentence. Right? 2 and 3 are beautifuler than 1 is wrong. Okay? We can't add ER to a word with 3 syllables. The correct one is 2 and 3 are more beautiful than 1, okay? So we will put the word more instead in front, all right? Okay, good. I hope that you remember this, okay? So it's a good point to take in mind. For the superlative, okay? Superlative has a similar rule, right? So they both mimic each other or they both mirror each other, right? So beautiful, again, 3 sounds for superlative. Let me use a black one. Alright, so we cannot say, right, the plus est, right? So we cannot say picture 3 is the, alright, the, and then beautiful, B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. And then superlatives end in est, right? So we put est here. Okay? This sentence is wrong as well, okay? So 3 is the beautifulest, all right? Although we followed the rule, right? For 3 sounding words, 1, 2, and 3, we cannot put est at the end. We cannot, all right? So the correct sentence should be 3 is the, right? Maybe some of you know this already. Right, the most, right? So the most, M-O-S-T, the most beautiful. Full stop, right? The most beautiful what? You can put in the type of thing or person, right? The most beautiful girl, the most beautiful painting, the most beautiful art, right? So please remember that 3 syllable words. Beautiful, right? Keep the words in the original form. Don't change anything to them. Instead, we will add most. Most for superlative and more for the comparative before the adjective, okay? And after the, so in between. Alright? Alright, so I hope you remember that. Let's move on to page 8, okay? Page 8. But I want you to always regard page 7, okay? Regard on page 7, like the word smallest, okay? So smallest. And we put them, right? We put them in between, okay? In between the noun, okay? So we have class in the middle, right? Right? Class. And then we have the word the, okay? So in between the noun and the word the article, we will put the superlative adjective, right? So I am the smallest class in the class, or I am in the smallest class in the school, okay? And then of course, remember when I said talking about just one thing, okay? So the house at the end of the street is the nicest, okay? So we're only talking about one thing, one house, right? One house. But in fact, this sentence is saying this one house out of all the houses in the street is the nicest, okay? So try to look at the meaning of the sentence. So the house at the end of the street, this is just one house, right? Is the nicest. Out of all the house in the street, this one house is the nicest one. All right? And then we have using the word the, right? So we always put it before the superlative adjective. And if there is a noun, right, in between is where the superlative adjective goes. Between the article the and the word house, or the noun, okay? So if you get confused again, refer to page 7. And I hope you did write down the table, okay? I hope you drew the table on the bottom here. All right, so let me show it to you one more time, all right? So superlative, the, blank plus est, okay? All right, continuing on to page 8, okay? So we have to fill in the blanks with superlative adjectives, okay? So it's important that you read the question, okay? Read the instruction. So it says superlative adjective, so we only use superlative adjective, nothing more, nothing less, okay? All right, so for the sentences, I want you to read it out loud with me from 1 to 9. Let's read through the sentence together first, and then we will answer the questions together, okay? So for number 1, we have to use the word happy. Where can we find the word happy? All right, so let's read the question. Number 1, okay? It was a very happy day, all right? So that is your hint there. Your hint is from the first part of the sentence, right? Happy day. We're going to use the word happy in this first sentence and transfer it to the sentence to follow, okay? So if you look at the example, this building is very old, all right? Which adjective is found in that sentence? Adjective, remember, to describe something. Right, the word old. Henceforth, we use it's the oldest building, right? The oldest building. Old is one syllable, so we can put est at the end, all right? Good, so now let's go to number 2, right? Let's read number 2. It's a very good film. Very good film. So we use good. That's the adjective we can find. Number 3, it was a very poor mistake. So poor here means bad, okay? A bad choice, not people with no money, okay? So poor mistake. Number 4, it was a very cold day, right? Very cold day. Number 5, she's a clever girl. Clever means smart. All right. Number 6, another word for clever, right? Smart. He's a very smart person. Very smart person. Number 7, this house is very big. Number 8, my cousin is very tall. We worked on this a while ago. And number 9, Laura is a very pretty girl, okay? Mind you, this one is ending in Y, all right? So I hope you still remember what I taught you, right? So let's do questions 1 to 6 together. I'll let you do 7, 8, and 9 by yourselves, all right? So number 1, right, very easy. It was a very happy day. It was blank day of my life. So we have a noun there, right? We have day of my life. So we know that there's a noun, so there should be something in between, right? So how do we change the superlative happy, right? Happy, also ending in Y. So of course, following the structure that you guys drew, we need the word the, right? The. So it was the, and then we attach the word happy, all right? But mind you, leaving out the Y. So H-A-P-P. All right, and the Y, what do we do with the Y? We change it to an I, and then of course the EST. All right, very simple. It was the happiest day of my life. So that one day, right, is the most happy, right? But most happy is a wrong thing to say, so we say happiest day of her life or his life. All right. Now this one is quite tricky. Okay, this one's quite tricky. Number 2. It was a good film. It's the something film I've seen. Okay. So just to backtrack a little bit, we have a different word for good in the comparative, right? So for comparative, good will become better than, right? B-E-T-T-E-R, then. B-E-T-T-E-R, T-H-A-N, okay? Better than. So what is the superlative adjective of good, right? So we know that good will change to a word starting with letter B, right? In the comparative, better than. So what is the superlative? Same thing, we have to put the word the in the front, or at the back, sorry, at the back, before the superlative adjective, okay? So we can't say the goodest, right? So adding an est here, that's wrong, right? We can't say the goodest. Alright, so basing it off, we'll have to base it off this one, right? Base it off the comparative adjective, right? So we'll keep the be, right? And then just add the st. So we can say that the st is over here, okay? So just try to remember this word. The comparative for good is better, and the superlative for good is best, okay? Best. Instead of saying the most good or the goodest, we say that it is the best. The best. So this film is the best film I've ever seen, okay? Alright, next one, we have the word poor, okay? Poor. Alright, so a bad choice. So this was a very poor mistake. It was blank mistake in my life. Alright, so again, for superlative, we need the word the, or the article the, right, before the superlative adjective. Poor, how many sound can we hear? Just one, right? So you can copy down the word poor. Alright, the poor. And then S, right? E-S-T. Poorest. This is the poorest mistake in my life. It was the poorest mistake, right? So a bad choice to do, the most. Alright, number 4, it was a very cold day. It was blank day of the year. So out of all, okay? So this one, right? So mostly all of this are just talking about one thing, okay? But let me try to elaborate on this one. So it was blank day of the year. So out of all the days, right? Right, and how many days do we have in 1 year, right? 365, right? So, how many days are we talking about? Just one out of all the days in 1 year, okay? Out of all the days in 1 year. So similar to the elephant and the whale, right? So the whale is the heaviest animal out of all the animals we talked about. So this one, very simple too. Just copy down the word the, right? So superlatives always have the word the before the superlative adjective. And then cold, just write down the word cold. C-O-L-D. Alright, the cold, okay, out of all the days. So this one is the coldest. E-S-T. Okay, E-S-T. The coldest. Okay, and then a clever girl, right? She is a clever girl. Again, we're talking about just one girl, right? But the sentence to follow says, she's blank girl in the class, okay? And of course, one classroom can have more than one girl. So maybe, let's say the classroom has 12 girls, right? So out of all 12 girls, right? There is only one girl out of 12 girls who is the... So we have to put T-H-E, right? And then just copy down the word clever, right? How many sounds can we hear in clever? Clever. Just 2. So we don't need to put the, what word? Most, right? The clever, and then just put EST. The cleverest. Okay? Out of all the 12 girls in the classroom. Similarly, right, even in terms of the vocabulary smart, he's blank person I know. Okay, so out of all who you know. So one person, right, he is one person, and he is the something out of all the people you know, right? The most smart is wrong. So it should be the, right, S-M-A-R, and then you keep the T, right? The smart. How many sound is smart? Just one, so we can put an E-S-T, okay? The smartest out of all the people you know. Alright, so just to analyze and help you a little bit. Okay, the something house I've lived in. Okay, so again, one house. So this house is out of all the houses you've lived. Again, out of all the houses you've lived, this only one, right, is the most big. How do we change most big in the correct form? And then, again, out of all the cousins, right? Tall, he is the something. So out of, again, all the cousins. And then pretty, right? Same thing, out of all the girls you know. Alright, so I'll give you very quickly, just give me the answers or write down the answers for 7, 8, and 9. Alright, very simple. Okay, alright, so your minute is up. Alright, so let's try to take a look at number 7. So, this house is very big. It is, right, we have to put the word the before the superlative adjective. And then big, right, big is just one syllable, so we can copy it down and add est. Now, my question is this correct? Is this correct? B-I-G-E-S-T. Is this correct? It is not correct, right? So if we put the G here right after if we put the E-S-T right after one G, okay? The G will turn into a soft G, right? So it will not become biggest, it will become the bigest, okay? Bigest. So this is wrong. How can we correct this error? How can we correct this error, right? So similarly with the comparative adjective, right? When we have a word that has 3 constitutions, or even more, like 4, but we can see that we can find a consonant, right? B is a consonant, not a vowel. And then we have I, which is a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, right? So let's put down V for vowel. And then we have another consonant, right? Letter G, which is also a consonant, not a vowel, right? So consonant, not a vowel. When we have these constituents, right? C, V, and C, a consonant, vowel, and another consonant, we need to put another consonant here before we put the EST, right? And which non-vowel should we copy? Should we put down B? B-I-G-B-E-S-T? Should we put, I want to put T. Should I put T there? B-I-G-T-E-S-T? No, right? So this C will follow the rule of the one behind it, right? So it will follow the one behind it, which is another G. Okay? So biggest is B-I-G-G-E-S-T, okay? I must point out that there are some exceptions to this rule, okay? So for most part, we really have to remember how to spell the words in their different form, okay? But this is a good rule to follow, C, V, and C, okay? And then follow the other C behind it. All right, so if you write down your answers already, you can also draw this graph here, all right? Okay, moving on. Let me erase this so I have some space. All right, so B-I-G-G-E-S-T. Another G there, B-I-G-G-E-S-T. All right, so for the second, the eighth part, okay, we have the word tall. Tall, my cousin, is, again, right before superlative, we need the word the. And then tall is just one syllable, one sound, right? So it's T-A-L-L, tall. So we can put the E-S-T here. The tallest. Okay, lastly, we have pretty, right? Ending in a Y. So P-R-E-E-T-T-Y. She is blank girl I know out of all the girls that I know, right? So again, the. And then P-R-E-T-T. Then something E-S-T. Right? Why is it something? Do we keep the Y? Right, similar to question number 1, we change Y to I. Okay? So P-R-E-T-T-I-E-S. Prettiest. Alright, please check the 3 answers for 7, 8, and 9. Okay? Alright, so remember, with superlative adjectives, we can talk about 3 or more things, or also just that one thing out of all the things that we know of the same type, right? Out of all. Okay, so let's move on to page 9, alright? So on page 9, right, do be careful on page 9 because we have 11 questions, and it's asking us to use both comparative, right? So ER, sometimes we can remove the then, right? So I am taller, full stop, right? So we can remove the then also. And then the superlative, which is the something EST. The something EST. Alright, so these are the differences with comparative and superlative. And we will use both of these in questions 1 to 11. Okay, questions 1 to 11. So let's go through them one by one, alright? You can look at the previous part on page 8 as examples if you'd like, right? But we'll do them one by one, so don't worry about being confused, right? So number 1, her dress is pretty than mine. Alright, so a good giveaway on what to use are the words after it, right? So we have the word then here. Alright, so try to analyze the sentence before you actually answer, right? Read the passage or read the sentence. So which one should we use if there is a word than? T-H-A-N. Is it comparative or superlative? Right, it should be the comparative, right? So how do we spell pretty in the comparative? Very simple. Just write down the beginning of the word. So P-R-E-T-T. And then we'll skip that part here. Then we have to add E-R. Remember, comparative is E-R. Prettier. Do we keep the Y? Right, like most word formations or morphology, we will remove the Y and put an I, okay? Prettier than. Number 2, cheetahs are fast animals we can find. How many are we talking about there? Just one type of animal, right? So for this one, I will write down notes here. So cheetah CHEETAH, right? Out of all the animals. So, cheetah, right? Just one animal. We're talking about one animal out of all the animals we can talk about. So it's similar to page 8, right? Similar to page 8. So how can we know what to use here? Right, the superlative form, and I'll use a black one for that so you won't get confused, right? The black one. Alright, so it should be the, right? Superlatives always have the word the. And then fast. How many syllable is fast? Just one, right? Fast. So F-A-S-T. One syllable, we can easily add E-S-T at the end. So the answer should be the fastest. The fastest. Alright. And for question number 3, okay? So eating fruit and vegetables. Mind you, fruit without the S is already plural, so fruits is wrong, okay? So eating fruit and vegetables. We're talking about 2 food item here, right? So 2 food, fruit, vegetable. Vegetables is healthy than eating hot dogs. Again with the word than. T-H-A-N. Oops, should be the blue one, right? T-H-A-N. So this should be an indicator for us on what adjective to use, comparative or superlative. Right, this is comparative, right? So healthy, H-E-A-L-T-H-Y. Again, we have another ending in Y, so let's try to write that down. H-E-A-L-T-H, and then put a blank in between. And then for comparative, it's E-R, right? Again, like most morphology, we will change Y to I, right? Alright, for number 4, I'll give you 30 seconds to do it by yourself, and then we'll continue with 5 and 6. Right, so for number 4, the word is good. Then we have the word then. Okay, so remember for the comparative and the superlative forms of good, we will change them, right? So we can't say gooder than and the goodest. And these words start with letter B, right? So for the comparative form of good, it should be B-E-T-T-E-R, better, right? Better than. Coffee. So I like milk better than coffee. Alright? Okay, number 5. Alright, so I talked about this in the first part of the class, right? Heavy. Ending in Y, and then we're talking about an animal, right? So the blue whale is heavy animal in the world. So we are talking about one animal, right? Or one type of animal, the blue whale. Right, is the heavy animal out of all the animals. Again, out of all the animals. For example, we can say maybe, just example, okay? Don't think this is true. Just an example. If we have 50 animals in the world and every animal is very small, only one animal is very big, so it's very heavy, and that animal is the blue whale. So this blue whale is the what animal in the world, right? So the word is heavy, similar to question 1, 3, and 5, right? We have to put in the word heavy, right? Oh, sorry, this is the superlative, right? So I should use black one. All right, so the. All right, so for superlative, always the article, comes before the superlative. And the word heavy, Heav, all right? We'll skip one letter, add the est ending for superlatives. All right? And we change the y to an I, okay? We change the y to an I. Heaviest. All right? So again, remind you, out of all the animals, even if we're talking about one animal only, we're talking about the whole picture, right? One animal out of all the animals in the world. All right, question number 6, big. The word we need to use is big. Which is big, Portugal or Spain? All right, so we don't have the word than here. No word THAN, okay? Let me write that down. No THAN. But how many countries are we talking about? So Portugal and Spain are 2 countries, right? So how many countries? We have country 1, and country 2. Right? So even if we have, even if we don't have the word than, right? We still have to look at how many things we're talking about. Portugal and Spain. So these are 2. And which one should we use for comparing 2 things? The comparative or the superlative? Right, the comparative, right? So it's BIG, right? Remember how to spell bigger, okay? So big S, we need to put another G. Similarly with comparative, right? We have B is a consonant, so not a vowel. So we'll put C. I is a vowel, so A-I-O-U, it's a vowel, put V. And G is another consonant, right? Not a vowel, so put C. And of course, before we put the ER, similar with the EST, we need to have another consonant which follows the previous one. Okay? So the previous consonant here is G. Okay? So B-I-G-G-E-R. Okay? B-I-G-G-E-R. Which is bigger? Okay? So no word than. Okay? So in questions you can also use this. Instead of saying, is Portugal bigger than Spain? Right? You can just say, which is bigger, Portugal or Spain? Question number 7, okay, untidy. He is untidy person in class. He is untidy person in class. How many sounds is untidy? Untidy. Right? We have 3 sounds. Untidy. Person in class. So we're talking about one person out of all the people, okay? One person out of all the people. But one way you can look at person, usually person means just one, okay? So one person out of all the people in class. Oops, this is a C, okay, not a D. C-L-A-S-S, okay? Class. So one person out of all the people in class is really untidy. So you can say that he or she is superlative, right? So the, what do you think? Right, so following the 3 sound rule, right, untidy, we can say the most untidy, right? Not changing the adjective, untidy, all right? Untidy, 3 syllable rule. We put the word most in between, okay? So the most untidy. All right. Okay, next one for number 8. Okay, number 8, the Nile River. Okay, so the Nile River is long river in the world. Again, similar to question 7, right? This one river out of all the rivers we can find in the world is the long something, right? So when we are comparing, right? Also, this should be with the black, okay? So I forgot to switch my pens. This one should be with black, all right? So again, superlative, right? So THE always comes before the superlative. So the long. Now you might ask me, right? If the rule for G, if we put an E, right? If we put an E next to G, it becomes a soft G. So how come we don't put another G, right? Because here we have C, V, and C, and C, right? How come we don't put another G? Right. So the rules for the CVC, the consonant, vowel, consonant, right? This constituent should be at the end, towards the end. So if this is C, V, and C, then we will put another G. But because we have consonant, vowel, consonant, and another consonant here, think of it as a shield, right? A shield. And the thing that we have to add cannot attack it, right? Cannot be attached to it as well. So that's why we can already put an EST here, longest, okay? Another point to take is this one, okay? So the N and the G here are 1 unit. They are 1 unit. Long, okay? Longest. Okay. Alright, so for number 9, cold. Antarctica is cold place on Earth. Again, Antarctica is one place, right? So we're talking about one place on Earth. One place out of all the places on Earth, okay? So out of all the places. And of course, we have more than one place on Earth. So what should this be? We're talking about one thing out of all of the things. Comparative or superlative? It should be the superlative, right? So we have to put the word the, THE always, before the superlative. And how many syllables is cold? Just one, right? So we can put down COLD. There is no Y here, so just add EST. Very simple. The coldest place on Earth, right? Out of all the places that we can find. All right, number 10. Okay, the word is hot. So quite the opposite, right? Hot. Greece. Greece is hot than England. So we're talking about how many countries here? Just 2, right? So Greece, England. Greece is hot than England. We can also take a look at the word here, right? There is the word than. But do compare this. Compare this with question number 6, where it didn't use the word than and used 2 countries as well, right? So you can see and compare and contrast. Look at how the structure, right, is different. For number 6, it is a question. For number 10, it is a statement, right? All right, so because of the word than, we can say that it is a comparative adjective. So how do we spell hotter? Be careful with this word, okay? So H-O-T, hot, hotter than. Let's try it and just put an ER here. Right? Is this correct? H-O-T-E-R. No, right? So the E here, the E constitutes to a different sound from the O, right? So it doesn't become hotter, it becomes hotter than, hotter than. So we need hotter, not hotter. So let's write down H again, hot, H-O-T. All right. Now following the same word, the same structure as big, B-I-G, right? So H-O-T. H is not a vowel, so we can say it's a consonant, right? O, so A-E-I-O-U, it is a vowel. And then we have T. Is it a vowel? No, right? So it's a consonant. Now we're left again with the C, V, and C's, right? So before we put something, before we put the ER, we have to put one constituent in between, right? To keep the original sound, hot. Right? And of course this C will follow the consonant that came before it, right? So what's the consonant that came before this blank? T. Alright? So hotter than. Right? The main thing here is we're trying to keep the original word, right? Hot, not hot. Hot. Hotter than. Alright. And lastly, Jenny is tall than Alice, even though she is young. Okay? How do we tackle this one? Very simple, right? So for the first part of the sentence, we already have the word than, similar to the one above, right? And similar to questions 4, 3, and 1. So we know that this is a comparative, right? We're talking about two people as well, Jenny and Alice. So Jenny is tall than, right? Tall. So we have T-A-L-L. All right, so you can try and question, right? You can try and question whether this one here will apply here as well. Do we need to put another L? No need, right? Because here we have C, V, C, and C. Now, I remind you, I always tell you, right? It depends only on the last three constituents. If it's C, V, C, then you need to put another C. But here it's V, C, and another C, right? So we don't need to put another thing. We only need to put the ER for the comparative. Taller than, okay? Taller than. Simple. Now, tricky part is the next part. Alright, so Jenny is taller than Alice, even though she is young. Right? So what are we talking about here? Is it still superlative? Sorry, is it still comparative, or do we change to the, is it still the comparative or change to superlative? Even though she is blank. Right, we're still comparing, right? We're still comparing their height. So even though, right, even though we can try to switch it around, right? Even though Alice is younger than, Jenny is younger than Alice, she is still taller than her. All right? So there is a missing, right? You can say an incomplete, right? An incomplete sentence. But when we're speaking, right? When we're speaking, we can remove parts of the sentences, right? So you can say there's a hidden, right? A hidden part here. Even though she is younger than Alice. Right? So this here, we will put an ER. Y-O-U-N-G. ER. Younger than. Okay? Younger than. So that's your answers for this part, okay? Please remember the rules carefully, okay? Alright. So while you are writing down your answers, let me just briefly show you how to do your homework for today, alright? Alright, so if you move on to page 10, right, you have a piece of homework, which is guided writing, okay? So how do we do this, alright? So we have quite a number of pictures, right? We have a picture or a comic strip from Garfield, okay? So we can omit, right, this one. Just use the name, right? So his name is Garfield. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pictures that we can use, all right? And please write a paragraph about it. So the paragraph is just one, right? It can be 1 to 2 sentences per picture, right? It doesn't have to be too long. And just try to write down what happened, all right? Try to write down what happened. And you can maybe use superlative or comparative adjectives to talk about what happened. Okay, so again, we use adjectives, right, to describe. So you can use these two different cats to describe them, right? Superlative and comparative. One is better than the other. You can say something like that, right? So at least 2 sentences, right? 1 to 2 sentences per picture. Now we can start doing one together, okay? We can start doing one together. You can start with, right? So we're writing this as a story. So one day, or in the past, or a long time ago, right? So let's try to say one day. One day, right? Write it down on the on your lines, okay? So one day, don't forget the comma, okay? One day, comma. Right. Who is there in the first picture? Who is that? Garfield, right? So we can say one day, Garfield. What was Garfield doing? What was he doing? Right, was. So past. Was sleeping or laying down. You can say sleeping. Sleeping where? Okay? So we have the person, right? Or the people or the thing in the story. We have Garfield already. Now we can talk about where. Right? We also have what he's doing. So he's sleeping. Where? On the floor. Full stop, right? So this is your opening, okay? This is your opening. One day Garfield was sleeping on the floor. This is your opening. And then you continue with what happened, okay? So this part is the continuation of picture 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have 7 pictures, right, to talk about. Alright, so this should be your opening sentence, right? Now I'll show you a mind map, alright? So mind map is, right, the story about Garfield. So we can just write down story. Right? You don't have to write this down anywhere, or if you want, you can write this down. Just try to remember this is how we organize, right? And then we have 7 pictures, so you can write picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, right? Picture 4. Hope we have space for 7, 5. Yep, I think we do. 6. And picture 7, right? So we call this our mind map, okay? The story is all of them combined together. So picture 1, we talk about who, right? So introduction. We have who, where, and what are they doing, right? And then for picture 2, you can say other people, right? So we can say other people. Or other characters and what they said. Right? And then as you go on with the following pictures, right? As you move forward to the pictures, you can write some more details, right? Reflecting, it can be reflecting, right? Pictures 1 and 2. So this is how we organize it, right? And when we have all these different parts together, we can combine them into one paragraph to make a story, okay? We can put all the things together. But of course, if number 1 comes first, we cannot put 2, 5, and number 1, right? Of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right? And please try to be creative about it. Again, you can use the superlative adjectives and the comparative adjectives together. All right. Okay, very good. So again, just to remind you, comparative. How many things, how many nouns are we talking about here for the comparative? How many nouns? 2 nouns, right? 2 nouns. We're always talking about 2 nouns. And for the superlative, how many nouns are we talking about? Right, we have 2 cases, right? So I'll put A, case A, and case B. So for case A, For superlative, we're talking about 3 or more nouns. Right? 3 or more nouns. For case B, we are talking about 1 noun out of all the others. Okay? 1 noun out of all the others. Alright? And then for, remember, 3 syllable, we put the word more. Or most, sorry. For comparative, we put the word more. Alright? Okay, so I want you to go home, everyone. So everyone at home, try to read through everything that we talked about in class today, okay? So for next week we will combine the 2 together and see how we can make complex sentences using both comparative and also superlative adjectives, okay? And we will talk about more of the syllables, all right? So remember, everyone at home, please go home and do your homework, which is on page 10. Very simple, the comedy strip, okay? All right, thank you everybody, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.